Good afternoon and welcome to Premier League Live on this Sunday afternoon for our first of two Premier League commentaries this afternoon as we watch Brighton take on Nottingham Forest here in just a few minutes before the big one to round off another Premier League weekend as Manchester City host Arsenal in a battle of last season's top two and what some are calling an early season title decider. Could it be that big 6-pointer early in the season? Either one of them will finish the day top of the table depending on the result in that one a bit later on. But first we watch Brighton, who were here last weekend and only could draw 0-0 with Ipswich, newly promoted Ipswich, continuing in good form recently. Nottingham Forest, well, they're coming off one of their historic results after winning at Anfield last weekend for the first time in 55 years since 1969. That is one confidence boost and some confidence boost heading into this one this afternoon. Let's have a look at the teams then for this one, starting with Fabian Hürzeler's side, who have made a fantastic start to the season, remaining unbeaten. Let's see how they line up. For Bruggen starts in goal. Joel Veltman, John-Paul van Hecke, Lewis Dunk the captain and Pervis Estupiñán are the back four. Jack Hinchelwood and Carlos Baleba are in midfield with Jorginho Rutter in the 10, Simon Adingra off the right, Kairo Mitoma off the left and Danny Welbeck leading the line. Steele, Julio, Webster, Kaliolu, Enciso, Pfeiffer, Ferguson, Minta and Pedro all on the bench. For Nottingham Forest, Matt Sells starts in goal. A back four of Ola Aina, Nikola Milenkovic, Murillo and Alex Moreno are the defenders. James Ward-Prowse and Elliot Anderson start in defensive midfield with Morgan Gibbs-White in the 10, Anthony Alanga off the right, Callum Hudson-Odoi off the left and Chris Wood leading the line. Hudson-Odoi, who scored the winner at Anfield last weekend. On the bench for Forest, Miguel, Morato, Williams, Sorsa, Dominguez, Yates, Awonyi, Morera and Jota Silva all on the bench. Fabian Hurtzler and Nuno Espirito Santo have guided their sides after 4 matches to an unbeaten start to the new season. Will one of those unbeaten runs end this afternoon, or will they both be heading into next week with a bit of spring in their step? Kick-off at the Amex Stadium is next. A very good afternoon and welcome to Premier League Live with me, Kevin Ferris, this Sunday afternoon. It's a warm day, a hot day. It's September, but it is summer temperatures, certainly indeed. Brighton, of course, in their blue and white home strip, and Nottingham Forest also in their home strip of red and white, so no need for a switch of kits this afternoon for this one on the south coast. One to be a very interesting battle with these two sides having very good starts to the season. Fabian Hurtzler, the new Brighton manager, 2 wins, 2 draws. Nottingham Forest, some were pipping for relegation this season, albeit very early, but they've made a fantastic start to the campaign, winning 2 of their first 4 and unbeaten after 4 matches. And on both sides only conceding 2 goals so far in the campaign. They certainly do not concede many. On the other hand, they don't score massive amounts either, 4 and 6 goals between them overall. As we get ready then for this one, our first of the day, remember, we have that big one coming a bit later on for you, so don't want to miss that one a bit later on this evening. Nuno Espirito Santo guided Nottingham Forest, as I said, to their first win at Anfield since 1969, 55 years ago. They were historic weekends, and they want to bounce back, or well, take confidence from that last week, shall I say, and certainly head into this one with a lot of confidence, a lot of belief that they can continue on this unbeaten run that they have started with. That not many, if any, would have predicted that Nottingham Forest would be one of the impressive sides to start the season. There are a couple of sides that are performing really well to start the campaign. Brighton and Nottingham Forest are 2 of those teams. Of course, Newcastle were one of those as well up until last week, or up until yesterday. Fulham and the like. So, good starts from some sides in the mid-table as Brighton looked to get an early corner. Milenkovic couldn't stop Estupinan's cross from going out for the corner, which gets Brighton the early set piece inside the first minute. Of course, already this weekend we've seen a side score inside the first minute. Brentford did it for 2 weeks in a row, scoring the first goal in their games inside a minute. Let's see what we can get here early on. Corner on the left-hand side for Brighton. Left-footed one fizzed to the edge of the box. It's easily cleared by Hudson-Odoi at the front, the near post. It's a pretty disappointing set piece as Brighton deliver it back out to the right-hand side, and Adingra was eyeing up for the cross, but well cut out that time by Moreno. Out for the Brighton throw on the right-hand side. We'll see Joel Veltman take this throw in now in a moment. Plays it forward, Adingra with a flick on, but cleared away by Murillo in the defence there for Forest as they clear their lines. And Brighton have to come all the way back to Bart Verbruggen in goal for them, of course. Already this season, we've seen some big performances from these two sides, some big results. Brighton, of course, opened the season with a 3-0 win at Goodison Park on Matchday 1, a real big result for them at Goodison. Then, the week after, they beat Manchester United here by 2-1. Then it was a 1-1 draw against Arsenal before a 0-0 draw with Ipswich last weekend. So they've certainly taken a lot out of some of the traditionally big sides in the Premier Leagues, the likes of Manchester United and Arsenal early in the season. And Nottingham Forest, as I said, that big statement victory at Anfield last week, but they've had some up and down starts to the season. A pretty, what you would say, respectable start to the season from them, albeit they played majorly. Liverpool were the only side that they've really kind of were the underdogs in, shall we say. The Bournemouth game, they were at home. They played Southampton away, they won that one. And then the Wolves game at home. So in their first 3 games for us, they were expected to be competitive at the very least with their opponents. Last week, certainly, that big 1-0 win away from home, which they've won both away games this season by 1-0. So we'll see if that continues this afternoon as they play the ball in behind for Hudson-Odoi. But the flag was going to go up anyway against Callum Hudson-Odoi, who, of course, as I said, scored that winner for Forest last weekend. You may be wondering why I'm continually mentioning it, because it is such a historic victory last weekend, of course, for Nottingham Forest. And we talked at times about mid-table teams, and, you know, mid-table teams are the definition of, they kind of battle and are competitive with the teams in and around them. Sometimes they can lose, sometimes they can win. It's kind of unpredictable. But when they play a big side, they always seem to really threaten them and really cause problems. And I think Nottingham Forest can be that team that we can see. I mean, Brighton have been that team for a number of years now where they have really caused big sides problems. I mean, they've beaten Liverpool, they've beaten Manchester United, they've certainly given Arsenal a scare on 1 or 2 occasions as well. So there's a sense that Brighton have certainly been that team where the big sides come to the Amex or face Brighton at home, and they know they're going to get a good tough test. They're going to be threatened. They're going to be under pressure. And I think maybe that was the previous manager. Fabian Hurtzler may be a bit different, although wants to play on the front foot, wants to dominate games and wants to control, but I think wants to kind of do it in a slightly different way than the previous managers. They just come down the left-hand side there, but Ola Aina will just guide that one out for a goal kick. But as I was saying, from the previous regime to now for Brighton, there's not massive amounts of difference, and I think that's crucial to a side kind of staying up where they want to be, pushing the top half, maybe pushing Europe again, Brighton, which they did, of course, a season or 2 ago. So, you know, it's not unachievable. They now know that it's achievable for them, but I think that continuity between managers, and then Brighton have been excellent at this future planning for a number of years now. When Graham Potter went, they had a plan in place for the next manager, you know what I mean, and now Fabian Hurtzler's come in and he's taken over, and it's been that continuation of the growth of Brighton as a club, irrespective of who's in the dugout managing them, because it's been that kind of increased growth season on season on season, and I think it's been really impressive for a club like Brighton. No offence, but you know, Brighton are not one of the massive names in the Premier League. As here comes the cross from the left hand side from Mr. Pinian, but well blocked off by Nottingham Forest that time, as he looks to keep the pressure. Estepinian now back with Dunk. Estepinian again. Of course, some new signings in the Brighton side today. Jorginho Ruter, of course, joined from big money in the summer, almost £40 million. He joined from Leeds, a Leeds side who only joined in January of 2023. Spent 18 months in Yorkshire and decided he wanted a trip on the south coast for a bit of sunshine and sea and beach material. Brighton, and he joined in the summer for £40 million. Just Dunk tried to find Mitoma there, but just overhit that pass slightly. Goes out for a throw-in to Nottingham Forest. I'm just saying, Fabian Hurtzler in conversation with his coaches there, just doing a bit of tactical analysis with the monitor on the bench. Of course, we see that more often now with monitors and actual live clips and replays of the game with managers sitting there watching. They can get a different angle of it, as Veltman maybe in a bit of bother here. A bit of a tussle as referee's just given a free kick to Nottingham Forest. You see this again. It's Chris Wood just plays it across, and it was Alex Moreno that was chasing it, and he tries to go for the ball and ultimately gets taken out there. It was actually Ruter that got involved in the challenge. Him sliding in a bit earlier on. I think they need to be careful with those sliding challenges. We've already seen some dangerous challenges yesterday. Being that stomp from Lisandro Martinez, the Manchester United defender, certainly wasn't one to want to watch again. It was quite dreadful. Really bad. And there's no excuse for that type of challenge, as Brighton's high press there almost found a way past Murillo with Ruter. And those on the Forest bench certainly snacking on the sidelines. I don't know why we got a shot of that, but we did. It's Moreno, finds Anderson. Just tried to find it through to Morgan Gibbs-White, but well closed out by Brighton. As Baleba finds into Mitoma in central and out. Welbeck around the edge of the box, forced backwards to Hinchelwood. Back to Welbeck. Now Baleba. Out to Ruter in the box. Feeds it forward for Adingra, who slices it across the 6-yard box. And just ahead of Cairo Mitoma at the back post. And it goes behind for a goal kick. But that was really nice football from Brighton. In to find Ruter. Plays it into Adingra, who carries 2 with him. And he slices it perfectly across that 6-yard box. Ready for a tap in at the back post. And Cairo Mitoma just on his heels slightly. And couldn't get there in time. That was a good opportunity for Brighton. Really good link up from that front 4. Almost combining what would have been a real perfect team goal there. Ultimately, ending in a goal kick. And there's João Pedro, of course. Had him in my fantasy team 2 weeks in a row. Put him on the bench and he scored those 2 goals. In those weeks. The one against Arsenal was one of them, and the winner against Manchester United. I had him on the bench in both weeks. Fantastic. I have to say I've deserted my fantasy team this week. I forgot about the deadline, and I deserted it. But I'm average score, you know. It's the best you can do. Some weeks it's not going to be your week. At 10 minutes gone here at the Amex, it is Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. At this moment in time, a championship update for you. Preston and the lunchtime kickoff against Blackburn at Deepdale finished 0-0. Both sides not only sharing a 0-0 scoreline, but also sharing that they both got a red card in that game. Sam Greenwood and Owen Beck both getting red cards in that one. In the Women's Super League that kicks off this weekend, Arsenal against Manchester City. What a matchup for the opening weekend. 2-2 at this moment. As here come Nottingham Forest down the right-hand side. The ball couldn't find Hudson-Odoi, and the referee's given a penalty. He's pointed to the spots, and Hudson-Odoi making a nuisance of himself against Carlos Baleba, and he wins a penalty. Just saw the break down the right-hand side from Nottingham Forest. If we can see it again, I would like to see the replay. It's a really good break down the right by Morgan Gibbs-White. He cuts it back into the box, and it kind of takes a touch off his Stupinian, and Baleba and Hudson-Odoi are battling. Hudson-Odoi desperate for the penalty. Yeah, he kind of just clips him, Baleba. I mean, it's. I have to say, it looks a bit soft, but I have to say it's clumsy from Carlos Baleba. He gave the referee an option there, and he's given a penalty. So Baleba bumbling back into his own box, and has now given Callum Hudson-Odoi a penalty for Nottingham Forest. As VAR, of course, will make sure that that is the correct decision, but I think they have cleared it already. And it is Chris Wood that's going to step up for Forest. So Chris Wood up against Bart Verbruggen, who's had his penalties, a couple of penalties saved previously. Can he do it again? Or will Chris Wood beat him? Lovely penalty into the bottom left corner. And Chris Wood fires Nottingham Forest ahead here at the Amex. Carlos Baleba giving away the foul. Hudson-Odoi the one foul, winning the penalty. And Chris Wood to slot it into the bottom left corner. Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. And Forest are cruising at this moment in time. They are well, let's just say they're absolutely elated by that. It's a lovely penalty. There's no chance there. Keeper dives the wrong way, but it's a fabulous penalty right into where the netting connects from the side to the back, right in that corner. It couldn't be any more accurate of a penalty. And it's just clumsy. We've just seen the challenge again. It's very clumsy by Carlos Baleba. And it is Chris Wood's third Premier League goal of the season. And that gives him and his team an early lead. So, Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Here's Van Hecke. Through the lines, trying to get Welbeck, who was clipped there by Murillo. Free kick for Brighton. Chris Wood's 2 other goals this season came in games where Forest ended up picking up points, obviously. Both at home. This is his first away goal of the season. Both coming in 1-1 draws against Wolves and Bournemouth. Whereas previous goals, Chris Wood. Forrest, who scored 5 goals this season. He has now scored, as I said, 3 of those 5 goals. And, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, if it updates for me, because it hasn't updated yet, but let's just see if we can get the updated table that can show us Nottingham Forest, as it stands, leading 1-0, would be up into the top 4. They would be a point behind league leaders Liverpool at this moment in time if they win this game. That is incredible. 3 wins, 2 draws and 0 defeats from their first 5 games would be an incredible start. Of course, Man City and Arsenal still to play this weekend, so that could possibly change by the end of today. But if they win this one, Forest, they're making as good as a start as any team that will be competing for Europe. Never mind in a relegation battle. Fabulous start. But again, we talk about the kind of threat from Forest. They've got lots of ability and quality on the break, as I'll talk about that in a moment, because here comes Baleba for Brighton up the middle. Wanted to shoot, but the deflected shot ends up into the hands of Matt Seltz. No pressure really on the Forest keeper on that occasion. But as I was saying, they have real pace, Forest. I think Alanga, Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi have that blistering pace, kind of raw pace, and I think that's incredible to a side that wants to counter, wants to be fast on the break and in transition. And I think that suits Nuno Espirito Santo's kind of philosophy down to the ground. That side that's going to be solid defensively, figure out their opposition and stay compact, stay controlled, stay stubborn at the back, but also have that ability to break quickly, to be absolutely devastating in transition. And I think the quality of players they have at the upper end of the field, Forest, absolutely massively aid them in doing that. And I think Morgan Gibbs-White is one of the best players, I think, in his position in the Premier League. I think he's fantastic. I think we saw last season when he was injured a slight bit for Forest, and he was kind of thereabouts in the team in terms of obviously the injury. You could see there was a drop in Forest. There was a dip. There was a bit of a kind of lacking in that cutting edge in the final third, and I think Forest need that for the football they want to play. And I think he is the key to that. As again, Brighton, it seems like so far every pass that Brighton are trying to make into those forward areas, Forest have it covered every single time. As Veltman there was kicking it forward, it looked like it was going to go out, but it stayed in. Ruter, Mitoma, now Welbeck trying to find Estepinian. That's good covering by Milenkovic there for Forest, and now Aina clears his lines. That was better from Brighton. Really good combination play. Here's Ruter again, but again Aina blocking that one off, and Moreno steps in field, finds Aina again. It's good ball play by Nottingham Forest. As I was saying, Arsenal Manchester City drawing 2-2 in the Women's Super League. With about a couple of minutes to go, it looks like both will be drawing their opening game of the season. Liverpool taking on Leicester, and Tottenham just gone 1-0 up against Crystal Palace in that London derby in the Women's Super League as well. Lots of football for you this Sunday, as again Forest try and break in behind, but the ball cleared away from Alanga, and Brighton just get the ball back with Verbruggen in the cover there. Certainly the sweeper keeper role that we see far more often now. Ball's trying to be switched out to a Dingra there. But again, just a bit high. Just seems like Brighton are struggling to get into their rhythm, into their passing. Their passing just seems a slight bit off at the moment. Forest's quite the opposite. What a ball by Matt Sells for Alanga, who broke off the left flank, charged up the middle, and certainly was bearing down on Bar Verbruggen's goal. And luckily, Verbruggen was well aware of that from a Brighton point of view. Otherwise, Alanga would have had a golden opportunity. But again, another example of what Nottingham Forest are trying to do and trying to get success out of. And so far, it's working at this moment in time for Nottingham Forest. Here's Moreno down the left-hand side with a throw-in. Throws it down the line. It's come off a Brighton player, and Gibbs White will win another throw-in on this side for Nottingham Forest. Of course, what can be the expectations of the Forest fans this season? Their side finished 17th, 6 points above relegation last season. Then the season before that, they finished 4 points above relegation with 38 points. And of course, you know, they're building that gap to the relegation zone. But is this the season where Forest say, yeah, we're not going to be in that battle anymore. We're going to be pushing mid-table. We're going to be testing these upper sides, these sides at the higher echelons of the table. As Forest in behind again, and Woods missed the target, but the flag goes up anyway. I knew it was miles offside, but Chris Wood certainly missed the target. Even if he was onside, it was a terrible finish. Yeah, it was poor giveaway by Verbruggen. And Brighton just give the ball away, but the pass into, I think that might have been Alanga, or maybe it was Hudson-Odoi, sorry, it was. Hudson-Odoi on the spin, played in Wood, but Hudson-Odoi was offside. I think Wood was offside when the pass came as well. So, comes to nothing from Nottingham Forest there, but they're still posing a threat. Certainly not giving Brighton, letting Brighton have it all their own way so far. Most certainly not. And testing that defence early on. As I said, both sides had only conceded 2 goals prior to this game. Brighton conceding against Manchester United and against Arsenal in their games. The 2 clean sheets in the other games, obviously. Nottingham Forest only conceding against Bournemouth and against Wolves this season, both at home. Have yet to concede away from home, have Nottingham Forest. Alanga tried to break down the left, felt he was kicked through there by the Brighton player, Adingra, and ultimately nothing comes of that. Here's Ruter. Ruter wants to spin it out to the left, but Aina had that one covered off and hooks it away for Forest. Clears his lines as Van Hecke gets back onto the ball. Tries to see Brighton forward. Again, the Forest press is intense, but Van Hecke finds it out to Dunk. Now out to the left-hand side for Estupinian. Dunk again. Dunk to go forward, threatening out Dingra. And the poor kick by Murillo almost put his keeper under pressure, but Adingra was threatening, and ultimately Matt Sells gathered it. It was Dunk's ball over the top. I think Adingra, yeah, he was offside anyway, Adingra, but it was just a missed kick, or a misplaced header, sorry, from Murillo. Headed back to his keeper, and didn't know Adingra was round the back. That's why he said, just after that moment when the keeper caught it, he asked for his full-back to tell him, to speak, communicate that there was someone coming around the back. Luckily he was offside anyway. It didn't matter ultimately for Nottingham Forest. Halfway through the first half, Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Chris Wood converting from the spots after just 13 minutes to give the visitors the lead here on the south coast, as they're taking their time with this free kick, which has certainly got a interesting reaction from the crowd as Ward-Prowse delivers into the box, and Hudson-Odoi had it pinged off his right foot and gone wide. Yeah, it's good ball into the box by Ward-Prowse, sorry. Flicked back by Gibbs-White to Hudson-Odoi. The three double-barrel surname players all linking up there, and it ended up for a goal kick to Brighton. I have to say, some of the players... I can clearly tell you I have never commentated on three players with a double-barrel surname linking up in an attack before. It's as rare as it comes. I mean, I think Nottingham Forest are raking them in. They want double-barrel surnames for players. I don't know what I'm talking about. Here's John Paul Van Hecke. As Adingra received the ball, but just overstepped it as Forest again with that intense press, winning it back. Anderson. It's a straight battle there between Gibbs-White and his man, but referee says play on as Brighton have a ball back with Welbeck. Now Adingra finds Baleba. This is better from Brighton. Spun wide to Estupiñán. Back infield to Baleba, who has toes clipped there, but he just about kept the ball and again recycles it, but Dunk gives it away, and Anderson has been trailed round the corner there by Carlos Baleba, who slams the floor, and he's going to get a yellow card for that now, Baleba. Certainly not been Carlos Baleba's afternoon so far, giving away a penalty, and now finds himself in the referee's book for that challenge on Elliot Anderson. I mean, he just grabs the left shoulder of Anderson and tugs him right round. Yeah, it's a clear foul, and Baleba gets the first yellow card of the season. His first yellow card of the season, shall I say. First yellow card of this game. Long ball forward from Forest. Flicked back by Aina. Mitoma got back in the cover, but Forest keep the ball in that right touchline. Right on the very edge. Some of the fans claiming it was out, but the assistant wasn't moved as Murillo tries to find Anderson, given away by Anderson, and now Brighton have bodies forward. Here's Adingra, bricking through the middle, tried to find it out wide, but again Forrest is getting a toe in every situation at the minute. Aina couldn't rescue it. Baleba now out to Hinshelwood. Hinshelwood into the box, finds Mitoma. Back out wide to Estupiñán, who goes for the cross, deep to the back post. Headed away by Moreno, and Alanga's trying to help out. It's a bit of head tennis in there as Morgan Gibbs-White felt again he was fouled, but the referee said no, as Forest do clear their lines now. And Duncan Van Hecke heading against each other, and again that press from Gibbs-White all over the back of Baleba, and wins it back fabulously well. The challenges of Nottingham Forest are incredible at the minute. Here's Anderson down the left. Elliot Anderson looking for options in and around the box, and has two Brighton players in his wake, in Adingra and Veltman. And now it's hooked up the field, but straight back to Nottingham Forest. Seems like Brighton are really struggling to kind of deal with the kind of pace and the intensity and the pressure that Nottingham Forest are putting on them at the moment. Very un-Brighton-like, as Murillo spins it out wide for Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi now flays it into Morgan Gibbs-White, who runs onto it, strikes it low and hard, but straight at Bart Verbruggen in the Brighton goal. Again, the combination play from Nottingham Forest is really impressive. I have to be honest, they've certainly been the better side so far, and Brighton just struggling to deal with that situation at the moment. Albeit they've had more possession, Brighton, 64% of the ball, but it's Nottingham Forest that are doing so much more with their possession than Brighton at this moment. And we've seen a lot more of that this season in the Premier League, where sides dominating the ball have just kind of been stifled, kind of stumbled a bit in the game. And I think the sides with less possession are just nipping in there at the right moment and stealing the ball and breaking quick. As here comes Alanga, they've done it again. Here's Hudson-Odoi, he's got Gibbs-White and Wood with him, but Hudson-Odoi's going himself, and felt he was brought down there, but the referee said it was a fair challenge as Brighton win it back on that occasion. But again, those fast breaks are deadly for Nottingham Forest. They nick the ball away in midfield, and they instantly know where each other is, and it's just one touch passing to break away on the counter. They always have bodies free. It's Really, really good counter-attacking so far from Nottingham Forest. Veltman has to go back to Verbruggen. Well, these two have kind of had it shared points since Nottingham Forest returned to the Premier League 2 seasons ago. Brighton have won twice, Forest have won once, and they've drawn once. So certainly a share of the points. They've drawn 0-0 in their first meeting. In the Premier League ever. That was in October 2022. Forest won 3-1 in the reverse fixture that season, and Brighton won both games last season by a 1-goal scoreline. 3-2 at the City Ground and 1-0 here. As Veltman breaking forward and Chris Wood getting back there, puts it out for the Brighton corner. Getting back, not only scoring goals, Chris Wood, but defending in the right moments as well for Nottingham Forest. Now Brighton can bring their height up from the back. The likes of Lewis Dunk, from Van Hecke. And Veltman is there too as Estepinian delivers the cross. Flicked on at the front post, but headed over and behind by Jorginho Rutter for a goal kick to Nottingham Forest. So far, the energy and the intensity of this game has been really fascinating to watch. Really, really entertaining so far. With just around 30 minutes gone. Still, Forest who lead by that 0 from the penalty. Seltz goes long. Headed away by Veltman. One back in the middle by Anderson, and Wood felt he was brought down there, but again, a fair challenge, again, says the referee. Letting a few things go this afternoon, the referee, Rob Jones. That's what we like to see, the game flow a bit more. Forest have certainly complained a number of times this afternoon about free kicks. They've just not been given. And I could probably say you couldn't argue very much. Rob Jones is our referee. VAR. Brighton crossed the ball in there with Mitoma. Moreno has to cover it behind for a corner. VAR's Peter Banks, by the way. But it was nice play down the left. I think it was Dunk. Just fed it through to Kara Mitoma on the left flank. I just spun it across with the outside of his right boot, bouncing around that corridor of danger, as we call it. And Alex Moreno just uses his left to just clear it behind for the corner, taking no risks whatsoever. As here's Estepinian again to take this corner. Left-footed. Gets a bit deeper in as it's headed away by Wood for Forest, but Baleba trying to keep it alive and will win the throw-in on the left-hand side for Brighton. It's good pressure from Brighton in the last few minutes, keeping the ball up in Forest's final third. As Estepinian takes his time in going over to take the throw in. It's certainly not got a good reaction from the away crowd at that end of the stadium. Estepinian throws it right to Morgan Gibbs-White. That's a really bad throw, and now the counter is on here for Nottingham Forest. Hudson-Odoi. He's got Anthony Alanga beating it forward. Plays it infield now to Wood. Wood to battle with Moreno. Skips past Adingra in the cover. And Alanga linking up there. And Forest winning the throw-in down the left-hand flank. I have to say, it's been absolutely incredible. And now Moreno's in an argument with one of the Brighton players on the bench there. It's warming up. I mean, what's all that about? The referee's just now told both players to calm down and just warm up. I think that might be Ferdy Kaliolu that's tried to start a fight on the sidelines there with Moreno, as Moreno takes the long throw into the box. Tried to flick it on, but there's going to be a free kick going against Brighton. Or against Nottingham Forest, sorry. And Taiwo Wadney's there to just calm down Cardiolu. Throw in for Veltman. Actually, it was a foul throw. So maybe that exchange between Cardiolu and Alex Moreno certainly might have put Moreno off, because he committed a foul throw. Not often you see a foul throw now these days. It's very rare on these occasions, but there we are. Anyway, you can distract the opponent. Certainly worked anyway for Brighton, as Dunk plays it out here on the right hand side of Veltman. Now to Welbeck. Above Ruter. Haven't seen much of Danny Welbeck at all this afternoon. Here is Ruter. He's got a Dingert rolling round against him, and Ruter's cross is cleared away that time. Back there by Milinkovic, and now Veltman's going to be penalised for a challenge on Anthony Elanga. Free kick to Nottingham Forest. Good clearance by Milinkovic, and then almost found Anthony Elanga, who was taken out there by Joel Veltman, quite clearly so. Free kick to the visitors with just over 10 minutes to go in the first half. Certainly say Brighton would be, or Nottingham Forest, sorry, would be the happier of the two teams, and their fans and their manager, I would say, obviously leading, but also Brighton really struggling to create anything worthwhile, as Moreno made that nice run. Here is Moreno now, Gibbs White, and will win the throw in there off Adingra. There's Ward-Prowse and Moreno linking up there. Back to Murillo, and Milinkovic taking no risks from the Brighton press. Goes back to Seltz. Now Murillo again. Over the top, looking for the run of Moreno. Can he keep it in? He does just keep it in. He fails as it's come into the box, and ultimately it did go out of play. I think Moreno heard the whistle. I certainly didn't hear anything. And a throw in goes Brighton's way. Just failed to keep it in the bounds of the field there, Alex Moreno. It is finished in the Women's Super League. Arsenal 2, Manchester City 2. In the Bundesliga, there's a 2:30 kickoff. The champions, reigning champions, Bayer Leverkusen, are 1-0 down at home against Wolfsburg. Nordi Mukiele with an own goal has the champions behind there in that one as well. It's still the same scorelines as the other Women's Super League games, the WSL games. Liverpool, Leicester still 0-0, and Tottenham leading Crystal Palace by a goal to 0. Brighton again want to take that long throw quickly to Mitoma, but Milinkovic again gets across and hooks it out for the throw to Brighton. Taking no prisoners there, Nikola Milinkovic, the 26-year-old Serbian. One of many Forest signings in the summer. £12.1 million, joined from Fiorentina. He spent 7 years in Italy with Fiorentina, the Serbian. So has been there since a young age, since 19, but made that move to Forest in the summer, and certainly feels like he can offer something to Nottingham Forest this season, having started 3 games this campaign since he has joined, sorry. As Ruter has the pop shot from the edge of the box there for Brighton, but goes wide. Again, it was Dunk, just pushed up, played it into the little space for Welbeck, flicked it forward for Ruter, who on the spin tried to find the top corner, but it just curled away from goal as he took the strike and ultimately ends up behind. But seeing a bit more from Brighton in these last few minutes, I have to be honest. Certainly been the more threatening of the two teams in the last few minutes. Seltz goes long. Wood holds the ball up. Gibbs White tries to play Elanga in, but again, Brighton have lots of bodies back, and Van Hecke clears away. It's Anderson. Now Moreno. Over the top it goes. Woods made the run. Verbruggen's battling. And the ball's still alive. There was no offside flag against Chris Wood there, as Van Hecke does well to beat past Elanga. Now Veltman to Ruter, who skips past Ward-Prowse, but Referee's going to pull this back for a free kick. Foul given away by James Ward-Prowse. And there's now going to be a yellow card coming out. I think that... I'm not too sure if it was Danny Welbeck or Morgan Gibbs-White. We'll see this again. Yeah, Rutter absolutely taken out there by James Ward-Prowse. No question about the foul. And then, I have no idea what the yellow card has come for. I think... I don't know what that's happened there. Somebody kicked the ball away, but I think Danny Welbeck's got the yellow card. It was. Maybe kind of complaining that the ball was maybe kicked away, or with a foul that he maybe wanted a yellow card, which you can't do to the referee anymore. You can't complain to the referee, or certainly have to send your frustrations to your captain before you can talk to the referee. But Danny Welbeck gets a yellow card for certainly speaking out of turn with the officials. Just over 5 minutes to go. Veltman here on this right-hand side. Back to Van Hecke. Feeds it through nicely for a Dinger on the turn. Into the box it comes. Dinger closed off on his first pass. Whips it in again. Headed away by Ward-Prowse. And too high for Morgan Gibbs-White to flick away. But Anderson and Ward-Prowse get themselves in a muddle. And Rutter finds a Dinger down the right. Back to Jorginho Rutter. He's got bodies in the box. Can he find someone? But he's well blocked off by Anderson there. As Brighton keep the press on. Looking for that equaliser just before the half. Rutter. Now out wide to a Dinger again. Round the corner trying to find Hinshelwood. But put too much on that one. And it goes behind for a goal kick to Nottingham Forest. It was a positive moment for Brighton. They had Nottingham Forest where they wanted them, really. And they just misplace a pass which completely breaks down the whole attack. And Forest get a bit of a breather at the back. Certainly in probably Brighton's best spell of the game. Without question. Seltz goes long again for Forest. Wood trying to flick on again. This time Veltman in the cover and goes back to his keeper Verbruggen, who hooks it long. Moreno wins the first header for Forest. And Anderson diving for the second but couldn't keep the possession as Mitoma spins it wide for Estupiñán. He's got Aina for company but finds Mitoma back again, does Estupiñán. And Mitoma with a cross. Just a bit too high. As a Dinger will retrieve it on the right hand side though. Keeps Brighton on the front foot. Back with Van Hecke. Looks to deliver into the box. The header is in by Jack Hinshelwood. And Brighton are back level. Lovely darting header. Great cross from the right hand side. And Brighton are on terms again. Lovely header. Forest arguing amongst themselves as to what happened there. But that was a wonderful header by Hinshelwood. And Brighton, in their best spell of the game, have their equaliser. It's lovely from a Dinger. Just keeps the ball on that side. And Van Hecke just cuts it back to Van Hecke with a lovely cross in. And the header is fabulous from Hinshelwood. Just diving for it. And to get the accuracy and the power and the pace on it is fabulous. Takes it away from Seltz, who has little to no chance in trying to deny Hinshelwood there. And he has his equaliser. And Brighton are on terms once again. Wonderful goal. And his first of Premier League goal for Jack Hinshelwood. 19-year-old. Fabulous goal. It certainly had been coming though, really. I have to be honest. It was a fabulous goal. Wonderful header, great cross. But again, it was in that moment where Brighton were testing Nottingham Forest defence, keeping the pressure, applying such great pressure on them. And I think it was no questions over. It was Brighton's best spell of the game. They were certainly threatening. Up until that point, they'd scored their goal. They hadn't had a shot on target. 4 of their 5 shots now off target. Of course, the only one on target is their goal. And I think Forest share that one. No, Forest had 2 shots on target now. But when they scored, that was their only shot on target. Over the top it goes again. As I think Hudson-Odoi, was just offside there. And now Brighton want to make it even better before half-time. Here comes Mitoma down the left-hand side. Drives in field, is clipped there by Aina. We'll get a free kick, and Ola Aina is going to see yellow here. And certainly in this moment in time, Forest have been just caught a bit lacking in the last few minutes. And Ola Aina gets a yellow for that slight clip on Kaoru Mitoma. Yeah, just caught him there inadvertently. Caught him nonetheless. So a free kick for Brighton, high on this left-hand side. Less than a minute to go in the first half. Welbeck and Estupiñán over this one. This is a good distance here for Brighton if they can get the right connection on it. So Welbeck and Estupiñán about 23 yards out. On the left-hand side, this free kick. Bit to the left, not fully left. Let's see. Welbeck and Estupiñán. Danny Welbeck takes it and finds the net. Fabulous goal. I said it was in range, and Danny Welbeck has put it in the bottom right corner. Brighton have turned this game on its head in a matter of minutes here on the south coast. Forest were cruising, but Brighton have turned it on in the final 10 minutes of this half and have turned the game on its head. Brighton 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Lovely free kick by Danny Welbeck. Fabulous goal. And Brighton lead. I said it was in range. It's a fabulous free kick. I don't know what Nottingham Forest are doing. Their wall is covering off the left-hand side, but the keeper is far too far to the right-hand side. He's got no chance of covering off that left corner. And Danny Welbeck sees it, knows it, and knows where to put it. And he puts it on a plate. Incredible finish. And goodness me, if you'd have told me after 40 minutes, around about 5-10 minutes ago, that we'd be going in ultimately at half time with Brighton leading and not Nottingham Forest, I wouldn't have believed you. But that's the way Premier League football can go at times. 4 added minutes at the end of the half. We've already played a minute and a half of those, but of course with a goal it could be a bit longer. What a turnaround. I have to say, Brighton for the majority of this first half, probably second best to be honest. Weren't creating very much, weren't testing the Nottingham Forest keeper very much. Forest scored that penalty from their first real breakaway. They continue to really threaten in behind and on the counter. But it was Brighton that have taken control of this game, and certainly now the scoreline is reading massively in their favour on this occasion. It's now Forest again try and reapply the press, but Brighton are much more comfortable in their possession now. Passing it around comfortably. Here's Estupiñán. Look at the spaces opening up here. Down the left it comes with Welbeck. Now Mitoma. Estupiñán's continued his run, but Mitoma wants to go himself. Plays it to Danny Welbeck, edge of the box. Forest again trying to close it down, but Adingra receives the ball. Now back with Veltman. Welbeck all over this pitch, running everywhere at the minute. And Veltman completely overhit that pass. And that attack comes to a pretty disappointing end for Brighton there. They probably could have had another just before half time, to be honest. Well, I said when Nottingham Forest were leading, they were in the top 4. Well, now with Brighton leading, they're in the top 4 as it stands. As you can see in the right hand side of your screen, Brighton would be just as Forest would have been, just a point off league leaders, Liverpool, and the three sides above them in Villa, City and Liverpool. So it's certainly a very, very good day it would be for either of these two teams if they were to win. In the minute, both have certainly tasted a lead, but it looks to be Brighton that will carry that lead into the half. With a few goals to get you from elsewhere, we'll get to those in a moment. But here come Forest now. They might want to get an equaliser before the half, as Einer's cross was a threat, but cleared away by Van Hecke. And now Mitoma wants to blast up the other end here for Brighton. Tried to squeeze it through for Ruter, but Welbeck still on the press, as that was good covering by Elliot Anderson there. Got back. Aina putting it over the top again for Alanga to chase, but Verbruggen has it covered, although giving it straight to Anderson. Now Alanga, and the last touch is off Anthony Alanga. Throw into Brighton. So we've now played over the 4 added minutes. I think Nuno Espirito Santo can't wait to get down the tunnel here at the minute. He's prancing around the edge of his technical area. He's been sitting down for the majority of the half, but I think he's desperate to get in to the dressing room at half time and have a chat with his players. So throw in from Brighton down the right hand side. Ruter battling. Back with Veltman, who heads it down the line again, but out of play for a Forest throw. And now there's no time to take it though, because that is the end of the first half. A first half where Brighton have probably been there or thereabouts in terms of the fact that Forest were threatening them constantly. They're still not out of the game, but that penalty from Chris Wood has been turned on its head now. Brighton's equaliser coming from a Hinshelwood header with his first Premier League goal, and Danny Welbeck with a sweet set-piece finish into the bottom right corner. Half-time on the South Coast, it's Brighton 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Welcome back to Premier League Live. Half-time on the at the Amex Stadium. It is Brighton 2 at Nottingham Forest 1 at the break, and certainly, as I said just before half-time, if you'd have told me that, I wouldn't have believed you that would be the scoreline at half-time, because Brighton have had a mad flurry in the last 5-10 minutes of that first half, where they came out of the blocks firing, and early on they were struggling to keep the pace with Forest. And the game, Forest's intensity and their high press and their kind of really accurate tackling. And I know that sounds a bit strange, accurate tackling, what is that? I've never heard that before. Well, yeah, it is probably a unique phrase, but their accurate tackling, it was they're getting a foot in every single challenge. They were winning those 50-50s, but really convincingly, Forest, in those early moments. Because, honestly, to be very fair to Brighton, ultimately they clawed a lot of that back before half-time, but I think Forest's lead, albeit 1-0, but they didn't look under major threat probably until the 30th minute, 35th minute, where Brighton started to kind of combine a bit better, play their passes a bit more crisp, a bit sharper. They weren't giving away loose balls as much. They were kind of looking a bit sloppy in the first 30 minutes of the game. But as soon as they clicked, it clicked for Brighton, because they grew into the game. They become much sharper, much crisper in their passing, much more accurate, much more clinical, much more threatening. Their wide players were starting to really cause a threat to Dingra and Mitoma, where we'd really struggled to see them early in the game. Ruter was kind of in and around the midfield, battling with Elliot Anderson and James Ward-Prowse and winning those battles at times. Welbeck was getting himself involved in challenges as well. So there was a lot of combination fighting there from Brighton towards the end of that half, and I think that was it all come from pretty frustration, really, because I'd have to say, conceding that early penalty, it's a sloppy penalty to give away from Carlos Baleba, who still hasn't had the best game, to be honest, really. Even when Brighton did have a great spell, he hasn't really had it his way this afternoon. A yellow card and giving away a penalty. It's certainly not been his afternoon. But the sloppy penalty to give away, it was really weak defensively. And Hudson-Odoi asked the question, and he got the answer he wanted, which was a penalty, and Chris Wood slotted really nicely into the bottom left corner to give Forest that 1-goal lead. But at that point, I thought it was kind of a snatch and grab from Forest, of course, in those early moments. As I said, they were hitting on the counter. Brighton were dominating possession, but not really doing much with it. And I think Forest were getting a lot of joy out of those early counter-attacks, those early fast breaks in transition plays. And I think they were certainly posing a lot of a threat to Brighton in those early moments of the game. But as I said, once Brighton clicked, they got really involved in the game. Great cross from Van Hecke, linking up with a Dinker down that right-hand side. Beautiful cross, wonderful header. I have to say, Jack Hinshelwood, the technique to get that header where he wanted it to go, and it was just dipping as it came into the box, just below him. He had to dip, kind of duck low to kind of get the header in. Fabulous header. Well past Matt Seltz, who had very little opportunity to try and get there. And then the second one, I mean, I have to be honest, I would put it down. I need to see the replay, but it looked like Danny Welbeck had set up 23 yards out, slightly to the left. Nottingham Forest put a 4-man wall to cover the left-hand side, to cover the near side. But on the far side, the keeper was kind of central to his goal, like in the centre of his goal. And I thought, there's a big gap there in the far corner. And he found it. Danny Welbeck spotted that clearly, and put it into that bottom right corner beautifully. A wonderful free kick set piece finish by Danny Welbeck, who I said we hadn't really seen much of in the game in the early moments, and ultimately getting his goal. But just seeing the equaliser again, really good cross by Van Hecke, and it's just a fabulous header. I mean, I have to be honest, it's incredible. For his first Premier League goal as well, he's dipping towards it and trying to kind of flick it more than anything. That's a really good header, really good goal. It's fabulous. Certainly not an easy technique from Jack Hinshelwood. And then obviously we'll see the free kick one here in a second. If I can certainly give us the replay of that, I would like that. I have to say, I said it, and I'm proud of myself for saying it. It's in range. It is a fabulous set-piece free kick goal. Wonderful wand of a right foot. And the keeper is far too far to his right-hand side. He needs to cover off. Even if he dives, Seltz, he has no chance of saving that. It's a great free kick. Skims off the side netting. So maybe even if he had covered it over, it wouldn't have been saved. But at the same point, the keeper has to do so much better there. He has stood still, staring at the ball fly past him, because he's nowhere near threatening. And it's really bad. It's really bad goalkeeping. I'm sure it will haunt them for weeks to come, Matt Seltz. It's really bad goalkeeping. Anyway, moving on. That is certainly to sum up that first half. Let's go and run you through the stats quickly. Brighton have dominated possession, 65% of the ball in that first half. They've now had three times the amount of shots as Forest, 6 to Nottingham Forest 2 there. One big chance apiece in the game. Forest still having the better XG in the game, 0.86 to Brighton 0.39, but of course the penalty certainly skews that massively. Of course, Brighton have had all the corners, Forest without a corner in the game. More passes, much better passing as well. Both have only had 2 shots on target, but crucially, both of Brighton's shots on target have ended up in the back of the nets. Of course, In terms of the final third, much more accurate in the final third than Forest, but of course counter-attacking compared to possession-based, it would be more like that. 73% to Forest, 45% in the final third. Forest winning more ground duels, Brighton winning more aerial duels, and Forest performing better on the dribbles, but very little difference there ultimately. Right, that is where we stand at the break. It is 2-1 to Brighton, as you can see. Elsewhere this weekend, we saw some big results already this weekend, some big wins as well this weekend. A couple of 3-1s and 3-0ers this weekend. Chelsea started yesterday lunchtime, beating West Ham by 3-0 at the London Stadium. It's three defeats in their first 3 home games of the season for West Ham, and Julian Lopetegui has an unwanted record, becoming the first West Ham manager to see over 3 home defeats in his first 3 home games of a season in charge of the club ever in their history. Aston Villa had to come from behind against Wolves to beat them 3-1 at Villa Park. Fulham won 3-1 out against Newcastle, who were unbeaten going into that game, but are beaten no more after Fulham got the 3-1 win. Both Leicester and Everton went into yesterday knowing that a win would be their first of the season, and it had a draw written all over it. Of course it did. Neither side claiming a win in their first 5 games of the season. Everton at least getting off the bottom of the table and off in terms of getting a point this season. Their first point of the campaign comes away at Leicester, of course, 1-1, and faltering a lead again are Everton. Liverpool made easy work of Bournemouth in the end, scoring all 3 goals in the first half in their 3-0 win against Bournemouth. Luis Diaz with a double, and Darwin Nunez with his first goal of the season to make it 3. Southampton and Ipswich. Southampton failed to keep on to a lead as well, as they failed to claim their first win of the campaign. Ipswich remain without a win as well, with a 1-1 draw at St Mary's. And Tottenham had to come from behind to win 3-1 against Brentford. Brentford, who scored in the first minute in back-to-back weekends, 22 seconds last week, 23 seconds this week. And it's Palace and United had a point apiece shared last night as well in a 0-0 draw between the sides. Manchester United had so many opportunities, but 7 saves from Dean Henderson, the Crystal Palace goalkeeper, denied Manchester United anything other than a 0-0 draw out of that one. And already at half-time, it's Brighton 2, Nottingham Forest 1. And a bit later on, Man City take on Arsenal. Right, goals elsewhere. Liverpool have taken the lead as it's just gone half-time in that one in the Women's Super League in WSL. It is Liverpool 1, Leicester 0 there. Tottenham leading Crystal Palace by a 1-0 at the break. I was telling you in the Bundesliga a bit earlier on that the reigning champions Bayer Leverkusen were trailing 1-0 to Wolfsburg. Well, in true Leverkusen fashion, they've come from behind and are now leading. Florian Wirtz with the equaliser in the 14th minute, and they have now just in this last second or two scored the second goal. It is Leverkusen 2, Wolfsburg 1. Celtic and Falkirk have just got underway in that one at Celtic Park in the Scottish League Cup quarter-final. Of course, Celtic, Motherwell, Rangers and Aberdeen all booked their places into the semi-finals yesterday and on Friday night. So Celtic the last to go, and Celtic face Falkirk at Celtic Park. We'll keep you to date with that one as the afternoon goes on. Right, the second half between Brighton and Nottingham Forest, where it is the home side leading by 2-1 at the break. Second half's on the way next. welcome back to Premier League Live. The second half on the way in just a moment between Brighton and Nottingham Forest. Don't forget though, the Premier League weekend comes to an end a bit later on this afternoon as we see a clash of titans in terms of our title race challengers maybe. Manchester City on court, well, looking to make it 5 titles in a row, and Arsenal looking for their first title since 2004. It's a long way ago yet, but they will face off for the very first time this afternoon. 4:30 kick-off at the Etihad Stadium this afternoon. Looking forward to that one. Right, the second half at the Amex is on the way in just a moment. Do stay with us. Right then. We are going to get underway in just a moment. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated. We've recently hit 24,000. We're on the road to 25,000, so any of your support will be greatly appreciated. We thank each and every one of you who is joining us this afternoon. Also, don't forget to follow us on socials as well, on X, Instagram and TikTok. All the links and handles you need are in the live video description. Right. Elsewhere in other sport, Lando Norris has just won the Singapore Grand Prix in Singapore, so that battle for the Drivers' Championship continues in that one in Singapore. And I can tell you that Leverkusen's second goal scorer was Jonathan Tah. Jonathan Tah is the goal scorer there, the centre-back, so it is 2-1 to Leverkusen. Right, the players are coming out for the second half, and it looks like Forest are going to make a change. It's Jota Silva and Nico Williams are also coming on. So, maybe there's something else. We'll see. There's a triple change, actually. Moreno, Alanga and Ward-Prowse have all come off. So, a triple change at half-time. Nico Williams, Jota Silva and Ryan Yates have all come on for Nottingham Forest. So, certainly not a happy manager at half-time was Nuno Espirito Santo. And at this minute, he has certainly said to his side, yeah, big changes needed, and they've made a triple change at the break. Let's see if it affects this result, and this scoreline as it stands for Forest. So, of course, I'm guessing Ola Aina might go to left back, Nico Williams at right back, or one or the other. It doesn't really matter. I would say Ryan Yates obviously would take James Ward-Prowse's place, and Jota Silva would play off the left-hand side, or actually off the right-hand side. Hudson-Odoi's gone to the left, so just a swap there for Forest. No change of shape, just straight personnel swaps for them. As here's Nico Williams, the first bit of defending, and Mitoma tries to get past him, and Williams has an arm outstretched, which gets Brighton the free kick, and a yellow card for Nico Williams for that handball. That's certainly not the start to the second half that Forest would have wanted there. One of their substitutes getting a yellow card inside the first, 2 minutes, a minute of being on. And there you go, his second of the season for Nico Williams. Very avoidable one that was, really. Let's be honest. So Pervis Estupiñán is over this one for Brighton. Lots of Forest bodies in the box. Oh, but one of their players is in the box as the cross comes in. Flecked across, that time by Rucher, but cleared away by Aina. Veltman, now to Adingra. Van Hecke leaves it. Rucher's got a bit of space on the edge of the box and was charged down there by Yates. And Forest clear their lines. Get the ball well clear of danger. Obviously no changes for Brighton at half-time. So Forest made that triple change. No changes for their opponents, though, so far. Here is Hinchelwood. Find Dunk down the left-hand side for Mitoma. Wide on that left. Chops in field. There's nowhere to really go. Mitoma has to come back out wide, linking up with Estupiñán, but good block by Williams. And Forest have it back with Ryan Yates. To Murillo. To Milenkovic. Now to Nico Williams. Back to Milenkovic again. Williams. Again, Forest living a bit dangerously here as Brighton were on the press there, and Celts just got rid as Brighton will just recover the possession here with Van Hecke to Verbruggen. Stupinian, now to Dunk. Of course, Brighton will now want to extend this lead. They want to kind of keep control of this, dominate the game, but also try and get a third, take this game away from Forest. The sooner, the longer it's a 2-1, more of it will benefit Forest and give them more belief as they come down the right here with the Dingra, but cleared away that time by Murillo. Right for the throw-in. Seems like Forest are a bit on, have a bit of defending to do early in this half. To say I don't blame Nuno for wanting to make those changes at half time. Clearly wasn't happy with the way his side were playing, and then their kind of threat dissipated as the half went on. Just turned into a real one-way traffic game towards the end of the half. Long throw into the box. Aina there to defend, and was going out for a corner, but Hudson-Odoi hooks it clear. Only as far as Brighton players who can recover, and Van Hecke. He spun away well from Wood there. Now Mitoma wide on the left, up against Williams again, steps in field, squares it across to Danny Welbeck, who has a bit of room to manoeuvre. Welbeck running through, and it's gone wide. Goodness me, tiptoes there from Danny Welbeck. Tiptoeing round defenders like they weren't there. It's about 3 or 4 Forest defenders, and somehow he finds a way through them. Beautiful ball by Mitoma. And as soon as you think Welbeck's lost the ball, he keeps it going. And his little cute footwork, fabulous. And it's just lacking the finish. Tries to take it round Celts. And Celts did close him down well enough. But goodness me, that would have been a wonderful goal from Welbeck. Corner for Brighton. Estupinian to deliver. It's a deep one. Van Hecke trying to get it down. But Forest have lots of bodies there to clear their lines. Well, that was a huge moment for Brighton. Goodness me. Danny Welbeck on fire in and around the box. Here is Ruter trying to find a Dingra in the box, but a Dingra ushered away by Murillo, and the ball goes out for a goal kick. I have to say, that would have been absolutely magic from Danny Welbeck if that had went in. That was absolute sense. Honestly, you can't describe how unbelievable that is. Just jinking and tipping and tapping around defenders. I mean, it's incredible. There's Forest again trying to go long with the top, but Brighton cut that out through Estupinian, and now Hinchelwood trying to get them forward. We have a goal at Celtic Park. We'll get to that in a moment because it's a big one. As here's Welbeck. Estupinian. Back to Dunk. Brighton looking to keep the ball. Keeping it well. Baleba out wide to Mitoma. Back to Estupinian, who goes up the middle to Hinchelwood. Now Welbeck. Dropping a bit deeper. Finds a Dingra wide on the right. A Dingra with a cross. Over the head of Hinchelwood this time. And Mitoma there battling with Jota Silva, who's in cover. Mitoma still holding on to the ball, does really well in that challenge. Now plays it back to Estupinian. Now back to Mitoma on the left, looking for the cross. Back post, it's hooked away by Elliot Anderson that was in there, but I think Brighton are going to get the free kick here anyway for a foul in the middle. Mitoma's cross was threatening. Murillo was at the back post. Just see it again. The cross comes in. Deadly threatening to the back post as a Dingra was threatening, and then Murillo tries to clear. And then the hooked one from Elliot Anderson to get it fully clear of danger. But again, living dangerously with last-ditch challenges at the minute are Nottingham Forest. As Brighton have the free kick high up in the Forest half. With Van Hecke. Looking for the right pass. Spins it out wide to Mitoma. Certainly looked threatening at the start of the half. Speeds past Silva. Mitoma's cross in the strike by Ruter was charged down well in the middle. Again, it's continuing to be one-way traffic for Brighton at the start of this half. They're pushing and probing Nottingham Forest for a third goal here. Every time you come forward, you think they're going to get an opportunity, and so far they have been. Van Hecke. Now Welbeck dropping deeper. Plays it to Baleba. Now Estupiñán. Nice to go into the half space for Mitoma, but that was cut out by Williams. Now Jota Silva. Trying to play it forward to Nico Williams, who goes to ground. But no foul on Nico Williams there by Hinshelwood, says the referee. And Brighton retrieve the possession again. Welbeck. We have a goal fest at the Bay Arena. We'll get there in a moment. Lots of goals to talk about. But can't stop here with Brighton on the front foot again. Here's Adingra, edge of the box. Closed off as Yates intercepts. And Ryan Yates will win Forest the throw. So, goals to tell you about. Leicester have equalised against Liverpool in the WSL at the start of the second half. Tottenham 2-0 up now against Crystal Palace. Leverkusen have turned the tables to go 2-1 up. Now trail 3-2 at home to Wolfsburg. Sebastian Bornau with the equaliser, and they've just scored a third just before half-time there, Wolfsburg. What a half that has been there. And at Celtic Park in the Scottish League Cup quarter-final, Ross McIver has given Falkirk the lead against Celtic. It's Celtic 0, Falkirk 1. As Brighton again in the final third. Hinshelwood's back heel just doesn't come off that time. So goals flying in everywhere else across Europe. But it's only a matter of time, it seems, at this moment before Brighton do get a third goal. To say they're knocking on the door would be an understatement. They're almost banging that door down with everything they've got at the minute. And somehow Nottingham Forest are seeing them off and denying them that opportunity for a third at this moment in time. And they're going to make another substitution now, Nottingham Forest. So they made 3 substitutions at half-time. It's been 10 minutes into the second half, and they're going to make their 4th substitution of the game. As Nico Williams tries to break through the middle. Trying his very best, but loses out in that battle, and Brighton are ready to pounce. Here's Mitoma. Squares it across for Welbeck. Murillo charged it down, as Aina tries to break away now for Forest. Hudson-Odoi. Down the left-hand side he comes. Just crosses the halfway line. Has to turn back, though. And almost gives the ball away as Murillo goes long over the top. But there's no cohesion from Nottingham Forest at the minute. They're just hitting and hoping. Doing anything at the moment to get the ball away from their own defenders. And at the minute, it's just not coming off. They're not able to create anything positive at the minute, Forest. Mitoma. To Dunk, now Van Hecke. Out wide on the right is Adingra. Ruter made the run, but Adingra goes back to Van Hecke. Now comes Ruter on the right. Plays Adingra in, down the right flank. Simon Adingra looking for the cross. Blocked well on that side. Out there by Elliot Anderson. Will be a corner to Brighton. I have to say their sharpness is really to be admired, Brighton, in this second half so far, especially towards the end of the half as well. As I said, Forrest, we're reading that other change. It will be Ramon Sosa that will be coming on in a moment or two. Not just yet, though. So Brighton have this corner. Right-hand side. Be an in-swinger with the left boot. Estupiñán will take. Flicked across the front post, but up in the air it goes as Forrest try and come away, but there to retrieve it back was Baleba, and now the cross comes in and headed away by Forrest again. Dunk has stayed up here for the moment. Here's Baleba, Hinshelwood. Now Welbeck will shoot. And Estepinian there as well. Blocked off. Mitoma. Off the left-hand side. Looking for options. Has to go back to Estepinian. Again, it just seems like Forest are second best at the minute. Just second to everything. Complete contrasting to the first half. And to their best spell in the first half, where they were getting the first to everything, winning those duels, winning those battles, completely overrunning Brighton. But they've just kind of, whether they run out of pace or run out of energy or run out of kind of belief, intensity has dropped massively. It just looks a completely different Nottingham Forest side than what we saw in the first 20-25 minutes. And they're paying the price for it at the minute. And Elliot Anderson's just going to be taken off here. So both midfielders have been taken off by Nuno. James Ward-Prowse at half-time. And now Elliot Anderson just 13 minutes into the second half. And Ramon Sosa has come on. So just one substitution left for Nottingham Forest here. I'm sure they'll want to make it count if they need to. Long ball by Selt. Header by Williams. Again, cleared away back there by Brighton. And Mitoma finds the reverse pass into the space for Ruter, who's trying to hold off Morgan Gibbs-White. But Gibbs-White's going to be penalised and get a yellow card for that challenge. And the referee's just going to have a chat with Morgan Gibbs-White here. So Gibbs-White joins a couple of his teammates who are on a yellow card. Yeah, Ruter held him off well, but there's no question it was a foul. And Gibbs-White gets his second yellow card of the season. So free kick for Brighton. Around about a half an hour to go. It is Brighton 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Van Hecke to take this free kick. Goes short to Estepinian. Hinchelwood. Now back to Mitoma. Again, try to force it through for Estepinian, but blocked off by Nico Williams. And Mitoma goes back to Dunk. Mitoma. Now Van Hecke. Through the lines to Welbeck, who lays it off to Baleba. Now on the spin was Ruter, but had his pocket picked there by Hudson-Odoi. There's now the ball over the top from Milenkovic, trying to find Ramon Sosa. But Lewis Dunk, the Brighton captain, has him covered all the way and heads it back to his goalkeeper. Comfortably so does the Brighton number 5. Dunk to Van Hecke now. Just seems like Brighton are comfortable at this minute in time. Albeit 2-1 is certainly not the scoreline that they'll want to end the game with, in terms of, you know, these last 30 minutes. Forest will have a chance, will have opportunities. And a 1-goal lead is certainly not what you want, if that threat may come. And I think Brighton are desperate for that third, just to give them a bit of space, a bit of a gap now in the game to just kind of keep control of it. As they're going to make their first substitution of the game. Carlos Baleba is going to make way on a yellow card, and certainly not his best game, but done a solid job in the midfield since giving away that penalty, of course. They're going to make another substitution. Simon Adingra is going to make way as well. So Baleba and Adingra coming off. And Minta and Vifer are both coming on there. Mats Vifer and Yankuba Minta are coming on for Brighton. As Dunk takes this free kick. Up in the air by Hinchelwood. Ball bounced around there, but I think it came off the hand of a Brighton player. I think it might have been Mitoma. It was. So free kick goes the way of Forest, which they've already taken. Yates. Back to Milenkovic. Now out to Murillo. Murillo goes over the top. The runner of Ola Aina there. And here's Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi breaks into the box, spins back. Hudson-Odoi turning inside out. And This shot's charged down well at the back there by Brighton. But this is better from Forest as Williams crosses in deep to the back post and headed behind for a Forest corner. I said Forest will have their chances. Really good ball down the left-hand side. Hudson-Odoi breaks past his man in Veltman. Just chops back infield, goes outside, inside, outside, inside, and then tries to take the strike. Well charged down, and then the cross from Williams headed out for a corner. And there's going to be a yellow card coming out for Jota Silva here. For some reason. We're watching a replay, so I have no idea what's happened. There might have been a collision of some sort, but he's got a yellow card, Jota Silva, so whatever that's about, I'll see the replay. It's actually Veltman and Jota Silva just battling there, and just kind of shoves Veltman to the ground. Yeah, a bit of frustration there from Silva. And gets a yellow card for it. Corner for Forest, though. This could be a big chance for them. Left-hand side, right-footed in-swinger incoming. Now across the near post, and goodness me, Minta almost headed it past his goalkeeper. Luckily Verbruggen was alert and grabbed the ball. Flicked on by Minta at the front post and easily gathered in the end by Verbruggen. No threat at all there from Nottingham Forest whatsoever. And remember, Manchester City Arsenal's on the way very shortly. 4:30 kickoff at the Etihad. We'll be live for that one in about an hour's time. Team news should be dropping any minute now. For that one, we'll bring it to you as soon as we have it. 4:30 kickoff there. So here comes Minta battling Aina as that ball through the lines is misplaced by Pfeiffer, and straight back to Matt Seltz in the Forest goal. Maybe that'll give confidence to Forest. That last moment or two where they were getting up the field, they had that chance through Hudson-Odoi. Maybe that will just ignite a spark in them. With around 25 minutes to go, this game's still very much within reach for Brighton. Or for Brighton and Nottingham Forest, really. For Nottingham Forest to try and get back into. Albeit, I've only had 3 shots in the game. I've had, obviously, that one shot in the half. That was the Hudson-Odoi shot. That was blocked. Compare that to Brighton's 12 shots. As they take this free kick. Forest, and it's gone sailing over the head of every Forest player in and around the box. And out for a Brighton throw on the far side. But Nuno trying to encourage his side with an applause for the efforts. Yeah, Hinchelwood and Murillo got a bit of a tug on each other there at the back, or at the edge of the box. Throw in goes back to Verbruggen, who was under pressure by Chris Wood, but just got it away in time, and Veltman clears it up the field. Gives White there to try and spin away, does intercept. And Forest trying to bounce back into this game. Aina. Now Yates. Back to Murillo. Finds Yates in the middle. Now Milenkovic. Wide to Williams, who comes infield. Back to Milenkovic. Yates now across to Murillo, who tries to dart it into the left channel for Hudson-Odoi, but it's gathered by Verbruggen, who was quick to deal with that situation. We do have team news from the 4:30 kickoff for you that we can say. Let's read out the Manchester City side first. Edison in goal. Kyle Walker, Ruben Dias, Mamlakanji and Josko Gvardiol are the defenders. Rodri and Ilkay Gundogan start in midfield with Bernardo Silva a bit further forward. No Kevin De Bruyne in the side this afternoon. Jeremy Doku off the left, Savinho off the right, and Erling Haaland up the middle from that 0-0 draw with Inter in midweek for Manchester City. As Brighton here, Hinchelwood. Welbeck keeps it in the box. Lots of bodies in front of him though. Has to cut it back to Vifer. Now Dunk. So Manchester City without Kevin De Bruyne in the starting 11 or on the bench this afternoon. So De Bruyne went off with a slight issue last week or in midweek and has not made it in time for this game this weekend. As the cross from Minta that time cleared away. Welbeck trying to battle, but Welbeck ultimately giving away the foul on the Nottingham Forest defender there. Free kick to the visitors. For Arsenal, then David Raya starts in goal. Urian Timber starts on the right hand side at right back for Arsenal. No Ben White in the starting 11. He's on the bench this afternoon, Ben White, so that's strange. Timber off the right. Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori in defence. Thomas Partey, Kai Havertz and Declan Rice, as Declan Rice makes his return from the suspension. He's in midfield. Saka, Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard leads the line for Arsenal this afternoon. Very interesting lineup there for the Gunners. As here come Nottingham Forest through the lines. Cross to Sosa! 2-2. Just as I was reading the Arsenal team news, Nottingham Forest break up the other end. Jota Silva to Ramon Sosa. Two of the substitutes combining, and Forest are back on terms here at the Amex Stadium. And that's got the crowd going behind that goal. Goodness me. They have hung on in there in that tough moment. And Ramon Sosa off the bench around 10 minutes and has got the goal to get Forest back on terms. I said they looked to be threatening from the run in behind again from Hudson-Odoi a bit earlier. This time it was Jota Silva breaking in between the lines in behind. Fabulous run. Squared it across beautifully. Murillo finds Wood. Wood to Gibbs White. Gibbs White to Jota Silva. And Jota Silva just squares it across to Ramon Sosa in the middle, who has a simple enough tap in to find Forest's leveller. Brighton 2, Nottingham Forest 2. There's no guessing what way this game will go now. Fabulous goal. Exactly what Forest have been lacking for a long while in this game. And they have found it from somewhere. And it has got them a well-needed equaliser. As the Brighton are going to make a change here. João Pedro has come on. He's replaced Jorginho Ruter. Of course, has been was missing last weekend. João Pedro, but he's back and he is in the side for the final 20 minutes or so for Brighton. It's now a battle for the winner with 20 to go. Estupiñán, now Mitoma. Down the line it goes to Pedro. João Pedro up against two. Next to take on Nico Williams. Does get past him. Gets to the byline. Tries to cut it back but couldn't find a teammate. And Forest clear their lines. That was fabulous from João Pedro. His first involvement there and almost setting up Kaoru Mitoma there. As Forest are ready to make their fifth and final change of the game. And it is going to be Chris Wood. It's going to be coming off. And Morato is going to be coming on. So a defender for an attacker. So they'll go to a back three, I'm guessing now. Forest, of course. So a back three incoming to try and solidify them a bit further at the back. Give them that bit more kind of resilient defence. 5-4-1, sorry, at the moment. Switching into a 5-3-2 at times. As Hinshelwood gives away a free kick, which gets the frustration from the Brighton man who's having a chat with the referee now. Free kick to Forest. Neither side want to give up their unbeaten start to the season, really. Both have been behind, both have been in front. But they're back level again. desperate for everything they can out of this game. Neither side giving up hope late on. As it stands, both will be 7th and 8th in the table with a draw here this afternoon. 9 points from their first 5 games. Would see them in the company of those teams in and around Europe. Just on the periphery of that at this moment in time, if they were to draw this game. Of course, as I mentioned, they've only drawn once in their Premier League meetings out of the 4 that they've played so far. And that was a 0-0 draw here back in October 2022, the first meeting between the sides in the Prem. Since then, Forest have won one, and Brighton, as I said, won both of them last season. Both meetings. As Estepinian with a cross, headed away by Morato, the substitute, and Aina tries to clear his lines, but blocked off that time, as the cross from Minta was cleared away by Mario. And Sosa trying to link up with Jota Silva, but just cut out that time, as Brighton keep the pressure on with Minta down the right hand side up against Aina. Minta looking to cut it back for Viffer, but Minta gets it back. Hinchelwood now made the run on the right flank. As the cross comes spinning in, but far too close to Matt Seltz in the Forest goal to threaten him or his defenders. Well, they have played each other in the Championship before, but Forest haven't won on this ground since February 2015 in a 3-2 win on that occasion. They were actually 3-1 up on that occasion, Forest. And Lewis Dunk was in the Brighton side in that game 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago it will be in February. And Lewis Dunk scored the opener for Brighton in that one. That was on a back from Forest winning 2 in a row at the Amex. Brighton certainly the better of it. Have won 3 of the last 4 meetings between the sides here. Although on all 3 of those occasions they have failed to concede on those wins. Here is Mitoma with a cross. Again, a bit easily cleared away by Forest. Van Hecke. Mitoma tried to squeeze it through the lines, but Yates now cuts that one out. Sosa linking up there in the middle with Gibbs-White, but couldn't find either Jota Silva or Hudson-Odoi that were breaking there for Forest. And Brighton win the ball back. Less than 15 minutes to go. Brighton 2, Forest 2. And our first game of the day. If this is only the appetizer, I'd love to see what the main course is at 4:30. Here is Estepinian looking to squeeze his way through in the box, but lots of Forest bodies, and we'll clear it away. And Jota Silva now to Morgan Gibbs-White. Has to go backwards though to Morato, sorry. So under pressure there on that occasion was Yates, and had the ball stolen away from him by João Pedro, but the referee just deeming that a foul by Pedro. Free kick to Forest. Fabian Hürzeler still encouraging and applauding his side's efforts on the sidelines. Nico Williams to take this throw for Nottingham Forest. There was a hand in there somewhere. Do you think Jota Silva had a bit of a say in that one? So a free kick goes Brighton's way. Here is John-Paul Van Hecke. Viffer. Dunk. Viffer. Dunk again. Now down the left-hand side to Estepinian. Viffer again. Taking their time now, Brighton. Just trying to probe their way around. Waiting for the right opportunity. Here's Van Hecke again. So almost exclusively in the final third of Forest here. So here Minta comes down the right. Well blocked off. by Morato. And goes behind for a Brighton corner. I said they were almost all exclusively in the Forest final third. The only player that wasn't was Bart Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper. Let's see what they can deliver from this corner here, Brighton. Lots of bodies in around the 6-yard box. Left-footed delivery. Headed away by Forest in there. So it's cycled back there by Veltman to Verbruggen. Now Viffer to Veltman. Down the right it comes. With Minte looking for the deep cross. Headed away by Aina. And now Gibbs White trying to get Forest forward. On the spin. Here is Yates. Now back to Aina, who has to go long. Jota Silva trying to reach. Sosa putting pressure on Dunk, but Dunk dealing with both situations really well. And Brighton come out with the ball again. Viffer. Out wide it goes to Estupiñán. Estupiñán with a cross. Headed away by Murillo. And now Yates on the edge of his own box. To Aina. Tried to chip it down the line, but had no one in red down that side, and Dunk will just retrieve it for a Brighton throw. Viffer. Now Van Hecke gives it away cheaply. Hudson-Odoi. And not on the same page as Jota Silva there. And that attack, well, that was pretty prematurely won, ended very prematurely. Here is Viffer. Now to João Pedro. His shot was deflected, but straight into the hands of Matt Seltz, who came across. And a good block by Milenkovic to deny João Pedro a clean strike at goal. 3-0 to Tottenham in the WSL against Crystal Palace. Celtic have equalised against Falkirk. Paulo Bernardo with the equaliser. It's 1-1 there in the Scottish League Cup quarter-finals. And it is 3-3 between Leverkusen and Wolfsburg. Piero Hincapié, the second centre-back to score for Bayer Leverkusen this afternoon. It's 3-3. What a game at the Bayer Arena in Leverkusen. Here though it's 2-2 with 10 minutes to go. With an unbeaten record for both teams on the line. And both wanting to fight to get a win that would, at least for now, take them into the top 4. As Brighton are going to make a change here. Evan Ferguson is ready on the sidelines. And he's going to replace Pervis Estupiñán. So a defender for an attacker. Or an attacker for a defender, shall I say. So Evan Ferguson looking to add extra attacking quality for Brighton to push for that late winner. Taking that extra risk. Let's see what Brighton can offer for this late on. It's Forest with a throw in. Down the line it goes. Here's Hudson-Odoi. Now through the lines it goes. Here's Jota Silva again, battling with his man. Tries to go across, but straight into the hands of Verbruggen. That was another good threatening moment, that, from Forest. As that's a crunching challenge by Gibbs White on his man. And Gibbs White on a yellow card. Referee said he got the ball, but has given the foul against Morgan Gibbs White. And João Pedro, the one on the floor. Oh, that looks dangerous, that. It's a crunching challenge. And I think he has to be very careful. He's going off here. He's going. It's a second yellow card. The referee initially said no, but he's maybe had to think about it, and it's a red card. Nuno Espirito Santo has gone absolutely ballistic on the sidelines, but Morgan Gibbs White can only blame himself there. And now he's pointing and screaming in the face of the fourth official. It's gone to chaos here. There's red cards flying everywhere. I think Fabian Hürzeler's got a red card as well. It's gone absolute chaos all of a sudden. And Morgan Gibbs White has seen red. Well, I've seen a second yellow card, certainly. And I think maybe the fourth official's had an involvement. And Fabian Hürzeler has been shown red. He's seen a red card. And maybe Nuno Espirito Santo's also got a red card. So both head coaches have been sent off. And Morgan Gibbs White has been shown a second yellow card. Chaos personified here, really. But Rob Jones, the referee, you know, Morgan Gibbs White, I said it's a crunching challenge. João Pedro's still receiving treatment, but he's come crunching in, goes over the ball. I have to be honest, I'll say it again. Pedro breaks down the left-hand side and come crunching in. Morgan Gibbs White says he's got the ball, but it's an absolute cruncher of a challenge, and I think the referee has the right to give a second yellow there. And then the referee has just gone to the side and given both head coaches red cards. Gibbs White felt he got the ball, and I'm sure they would do, but for me I think it's a second yellow. I thought he was very lucky to get away with it initially, but he hasn't gotten away with it, and the referee has given a red card. So Brighton with the extra man. There's no head coaches on the sidelines. Neither head coach are there anymore. And Forest are now down a man, and they have some job on their hands in the final 5 minutes here, because Brighton are going to be incredibly encouraged and motivated to try and win this game now and put salt in the wound of Forest. Here's Mitoma. Now Dunk. Going to be 5 minutes of Forest defending and Brighton attacking. They've gone to a 5-4 formation, just putting all their bodies centrally and behind the ball. Basically just two banks to try and stop Brighton. Hinchelwood, Veltman, now to Minter on the right. Minter takes on a man. Minter gets to the byline, and Ola Aina sees him out. Will be a goal kick though. Last touch didn't come off Yakuba Minter, and the crowd weren't particularly convinced. I thought it was a corner. Let's just say it again. Yeah, it was. Goal kick. Definite goal kick. Minter got all the ball. Aina just put him off, really, more than anything. Didn't get a touch to it, so goal kick's the right decision. As Seltz goes long as far as he can. Aina hooks it up the field. Van Hecke intercepts. As Brighton on the turn again. Here is Mitoma. Down the left it comes, but has to turn back on himself. Mitoma to Hinchelwood now. Dunk. Van Hecke. Can Forest hold on to a 2-2 and keep their unbeaten run, or will Brighton sting them at the very end? As the cross comes in from Minter and goes all the way through. Williams was close. Don't think he got a touch to it though, and it goes behind for a goal kick. Threatening cross by Yakuba Minter, but no one really made the run at the back post. Mitoma wasn't. He was there. He was the one that should have been making the run, but didn't. Goes out for a goal kick. 3 minutes to go, plus the additional time. Don't forget, Manchester City against Arsenal. 4:30 kickoff. Will be live here at around about 4:20 for that one, around about half an hour's time for kickoff there at the Etihad at 4:30. Seltz again to take this long goal kick. As far away from his goal as he possibly can get it, as Brighton win the first header. Second ball won by Morato, but intercepted again by Brighton. Here's Mitoma. Now back to Dunk. Down the left comes João Pedro. He's got Mitoma ahead of him. Pedro wants to go himself, and I think Roman Sosa got a little touch to that one from Pedro. Will be a corner. João Pedro doesn't look in the best of ways here. He's only back from a little niggle, and he's hobbling about a bit here on that right foot from that earlier challenge from Morgan Gibbs-White. Let's see. Minta to take this corner, left-hand side, left-footed delivery, out swinging, headed away by Morato. Hinshelwood keeps it alive. Pedro tries to go down the line for Welbeck, but cut up by Ola Aina, who tries to get it clear, but only puts it out for the throw. Taken quickly by João Pedro. Brighton look to keep the momentum in their favour. Here is Van Hecke. Keep that ball up the field. Dunk. Hinshelwood now. Wide it goes to Minta. Back in field to Lewis Dunk. Now Hinshelwood will cross one in. And it was just ahead of Danny Welbeck as it came curling to the back post. It goes behind for a goal kick, but agonisingly close to Danny Welbeck, who was arriving just in front of him. And if he'd have got something on that, either he was putting it in or one of his two teammates that were waiting on the on the goal line would have knocked it in. But it just goes agonisingly wide and behind for a goal kick. Certainly a topsy-turvy day. Forest led. Then Brighton turned it on its head to lead 2-1 at the half. Then Brighton were pushing for a third before Forest went up the other end and got an equaliser. And now it's a battle for the winner, and it looks like Brighton are desperately pushing for it with a man advantage. 6 added minutes at the end of this game. More than enough time for a winner to be found. As Pedro breaks down the left, goes down, but the referee sees no issues. No foul. Goal kick to Nottingham Forest. Tottenham 4-0 up against Crystal Palace in the WSL. Still 3-3 between Leverkusen and Wolfsburg. And Falkirk have scored another goal at Celtic Park. It is Celtic 1, Falkirk 2 at half-time in that game. Wow, what a scoreline that is. Incredible. Celts goes long again, of course. Sosa was the target this time, but escaped everyone. Bounced out for a Brighton throw in Brighton's half. Hinshelwood. Veltman. Now Van Hecke. Again, all the Brighton bodies but their goalkeeper in the final third of Forest as Mitoma looks for the cross. Headed away by Morato. Back with Van Hecke again. It's just constant attack. As Welbeck tries to come deeper to get a touch on the ball, but it's given away. And now it's a 3-on-3 here for Forest. Could they nick it late? Here comes Hudson-Odoi. But lots of bodies flooding back for Brighton. Kind of stifles that Forest counter. But Forest keep the possession with Yates. The ball out wide it goes, but the flag goes up against Hudson-Odoi. And he's just kicked the ball away, which is going to get him a yellow card. No questions, no real arguments there from Callum Hudson-Odoi. He knows what he did. Yeah, he just flicks the ball away, there's no question. So Hudson-Odoi with his first yellow card of the season. And if I'm not mistaken, that is Forest's 6th yellow card of the game, including a red card for their manager and a red card for Morgan Gibbs-White. So lots of cards going Forest's way. Here's Mitoma. Back to Dunk. Dunk with a cross into the box. Cleared away by Morato. And now on the brick again. Here's Jota Silva. He's got bodies with him. Jota Silva plays it through for Ramon Sosa. Sosa's got Hudson-Odoi. Ramon Sosa crosses it for Hudson-Odoi, but goes far too ahead of his man. And it goes behind for a goal kick. The flag, I think, was staying down. That was a golden opportunity to win it. And that would have been an absolute smash and grab from the very best there from Nottingham Forest that they got that done. And it's surely as best a chance as they will get. It's Dunk with the ball in. It's cleared away. And then the counter is on. And the amount of space that Forest are given here. Beautiful ball by Jota Silva. I think Sosa, he is onside. All he has to do is square it across for Hudson-Odoi, but plays it in front of Hudson-Odoi. Far too much on it. And there's no chance. Goes out for a goal kick. What an opportunity that is for Nottingham Forest. They could have stole a winner when Brighton have been desperately pushing for it for the last 10 minutes. Here's Van Hecke. Out wide it goes to Mitoma. Mitoma now steps in field, but that one's sent into the stratosphere by Ramon Sosa with a clearance. 2 minutes or so to go of the 6 added. Brighton 2, Forest 2. Forest down to 10. And Brighton continuing to push for that winner. Dunk to Van Hecke. Round the corner to Lewis Dunk, who looks to try and beat the keeper, who has to palm it over the bar. Does Matt Seltz. Goes for a corner. Wasn't sure whether it was going to dip in or not. He took no risks there, Seltz. And Dunk's ball goes palming over. I think it was just going to hit the top of the crossbar, but took no fainted effort there in Matt Seltz and puts it behind for the corner. Last minute of the game. Corner here for Brighton. Yakuba Minta to take. Left-footed cross. Outswinger. Headed up into the air, but cleared away by Forest. Not fully, though. Bounce back in as it comes all the way through. It will be another corner, though. The last touch was off a Forest player. Yeah, one of the Forest defenders got a head in there in the middle. Minta will have another chance to deliver. This could probably be their last opportunity of the game, Brighton. Minta, left-footed cross again. Cleared away at the front post. The bouncing ball's kept in by Minta. On the left flank, wants to whip it in again. Just short to Welbeck. Minta intercepts the Hudson-Odoi chance and now puts it into the box. But again, cleared away by Forest, doing everything they can to get it away from goal and away from their box as possible. And there's no time. That's it. Brighton, threw so much effort and so much energy at it, they probably could have lost it in the dying seconds with Forest's breakaway. But in the end, it'll be a point apiece. And the spoils shared between Brighton and Nottingham Forest in the end. A topsy-turvy, upsy-daisy game, really. Forest leading in the early moments from a penalty. Brighton turned it on its head before half-time with 2 goals. In the end, equalising was Jack Hinshelwood before the lead was got by Danny Welbeck from the free kick. Forest in the second half were clinging on to make sure it wasn't 3-1 before, with 20 minutes to go, Ramon Sosa off the bench got the equaliser. Gibbs White was shown a second yellow, which had Forest desperately clinging on to the point late on. They could have won it at one end. Brighton could have won it at the other. Neither won it in the end. And it's a draw that settles things at the Amex. Brighton 2, Nottingham Forest 2. Wow. What a game. And what a finish to that. Both head coaches shown a red card. Morgan Gibbs White sent off with a second yellow. Goals and drama and comebacks galore. What a game. And that's only the appetiser for our late one this afternoon. Manchester City taking on Arsenal. Last season's top 2. And whatever the result this afternoon, one of the 2 teams will finish top of the table by the end of this evening. If City win, or if it's a draw, City will finish top. But if Arsenal win, they will finish the weekend top of the pile. We will find out what will happen at the Etihad when kick-off is around about 30 minutes away. Do join us then.